Look, this video isn't gonna be a cinematic masterpiece, simply because I have no structure and no preparation done for this video. It's just gonna be based off of pure adrenaline and vibes because I just came back from watching Fantastic Four and I absolutely loved it. Now, beyond just glazing on it, I wanted to get everything off my chest because I enjoyed it so much that I couldn't be bothered to sit down and structure something and come up with some sort of video that was well thought out, simply because it takes me too much time. You know, I can't make a video in a day or two and be satisfied with it. I'm currently working on a Supergirl video because of Superman. I tried to make a review for that, but I wasn't quite happy with it, and I'm like, I need to sit down and talk about something in particular related to Superman, and I am going to talk about the Fantastic Four in a longer format, well-structured video, but for now, I just wanted to get all my thoughts off my chest because, like I said, I'm very hyped about this movie. Alright, so first up, let's talk about Mr. Fantastic. So Pedro Pascal really impressed me with Reed Richards. I'm getting tired of seeing him in every movie, but to be fair, he is good in pretty much anything he's in. So here he plays an entirely different character compared to the other ones that I've seen him play, like Joel or The Mandalorian. But here, Reed Richards is characterized very well. He's what you'd expect him to be. Neurotic. He feels guilt for the fact that their initial trip to space was a, let's say, disaster. Essentially, they got their powers from it, but he still feels a level of guilt from that because he changed everyone's lives for, well, some for the better, others for the worst, such as Ben. And his character is really good here. You feel that confidence in the fact that he can solve any problem. And that's what you'd want from Reed Richards. Now, beyond the intelligence thing, I really like how they portrayed the CGI and his powers. I would compare him to Spider-Man in how they portrayed him here, since he's always kind of like swinging from things. He doesn't really, I mean, of course, he won't act the way he does in the game, but he doesn't really do his big mode or fridge mode as you see in Marvel Rivals. But I really like the way they incorporated his powers and how they kind of portrayed them in various ways. So yeah, Reed Richards is really good. If you're looking for that neurotic, always in his head character, then yeah, that is perfectly portrayed by the writers and Pedro Pascal, so I'm fucking satisfied. Next up is Sue Storm. So in an era where basically 90% of female characters in superhero movies, or action movies to be fair, are like girl bosses and good at everything and just kind of overcompensating for the fact that the writers don't know how to write a female character, Sue Storm is written really well. She has this quiet confidence that instills a lot of trust in her character, simply because I got the sense that she was the thread holding everything together, especially because there's a scene in the movie where there's conflict and she's the one who, let's say, has to take the first steps, I can wrap the video up now, to kind of prove to the world that the Fantastic Four are going to be there for them and that family is important. She really carries that family element of the movie, as well as Johnny and Ben. However, there's a point in the movie where everyone kind of is torn on what they need to do in order to defeat Galactus. I'll just say that much. As for her powers, I really like how they leaned more into her psionic abilities, where she's pushing and pulling things as opposed to just going invisible. And actually, her going invisible is more of like a sign of distress to her throughout the film, and that says a lot about her character. Like beyond them just being like, oh, she feels sad or whatever, you can tell that this is a way that simply she escapes any scenario she doesn't want to be in, even ones where she's front and center in how it plays out. So all in all, they really used her powers to the best of their abilities, I guess. And I'm really happy with the fact that we got to see more of her play a big role in how they resolve these issues, as opposed to just relying on some gadgets and gizmos or Ben and Johnny trying to be cool and carrying a battle. They do a really good job with her, so I'm really happy about that. Now, here's the thing. In a lot of Fantastic Four content, they like to dwell on Ben's personal life and the way that his transformation has affected his ability to form relationships with people outside of the family. Now, in this movie, they don't really go too much into detail on that. They do touch upon it, but it's very nuanced, and you just see him reacting to things rather than him openly telling you how he feels. And that's an interesting way of approaching it. I don't have a problem with it because it incorporates that aspect of his character, but it didn't slow down the movie. So that's something I can also say about the movie. The pacing is really good. I didn't really even feel the individual acts. It just kind of flows really well into each act and then finishes very nicely. Whereas Sue is the thread holding the family together, I feel like Ben is the heart of the team. And I think everyone would say that simply because, well, he's a big guy with a heart of gold. So it goes without saying, but I figured I'd mention that so that people know that they got his character right. And last but not least, Johnny Storm. So I'm going to admit, I did expect him to be played differently in this movie simply because of that Joseph Quinn interview where he said that he wasn't going to be as callous or as much of a womanizer as people might expect him to be. However, I really didn't notice much of a difference in his energy. In fact, I think I like this version more than any other rendition of the character. So I don't know why he felt the need to say that in an interview when the character is perfectly fine. Now, some people might say that he's ruined and they totally destroyed it and, you know, Marvel ruined their lives. But yeah, if you guys were expecting him to be some sort of like, I don't know, timid, shy guy, he's definitely not that. He's charming. He is playful and all that, but they didn't ruin his character by any means. Now, beyond all that, something I didn't expect from his character was for him to be smart, because in a lot of Fantastic Four content, he's not played that way. He's mainly the arrogant, you know, airhead who just makes a lot of jokes. Basically, Spider-Man without the intelligence, right? And so I'm not saying that he's anywhere near Peter Parker's intellect. However, the role he plays in the overall plan in the movie is very interesting, and he actually has his own side plot where he figures something out that helps the team overall. So if you're expecting him to just be like a passive member and just going along with every plan, he does go along with the plan. However, he's not just there, you know, brainless or aimlessly walking around and waiting for someone else to solve the issue for him. Okay, so we talked about the Fantastic Four. How about some other characters? Well, the only other ones we can talk about are Galactus and the Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer? Damn, it's late. I gotta go to sleep soon. So basically, the Silver Surfer is done really well. Her CGI is much better than it was in the trailer. And I just feel like she has so much aura. She wasn't trying to aura farm, but she just aura farmed regardless of what she was doing. Every scene she was in just exuded aura. If you guys like Interstellar and all those sci-fi movies, you're really gonna like this one because they kind of mess with your mind a little bit. They use really sciencey logic to get out of situations because, well, they're in scenarios they shouldn't be. And so I really like how they incorporated the intellect of the characters and sci-fi to just resolve some moments. They also go into some backstory on how she became the Herald of Galactus, and that plotline plays a role in how the overall story unravels. And I mean, if you know about the Silver Surfer and anything about the character, then you know how he/she became the Herald of Galactus. And so I like that they gave the audience a little more insight into that. So that's a neat thing to include. I will be honest though, she did piss me off at one point in the movie where she started destroying shit. I'm not going to get into more detail than that, but once you watch the movie, you'll know what I mean. And then we have Galactus. Galactus in this movie was such a menace, and you could feel his the impending threat and doom of him showing up. And particularly when he comes to Earth, that's when you felt like he was just doing this shit for the love of the game. I mean, of course, he needs to feed on planets, but the dude was just simply enjoying this shit. And yeah, I honestly thought at a certain point in the movie that his plan was going to work and that somehow the Fantastic Four were going to disappear into a different universe, and that's how they get paired onto Earth 616. And maybe that does happen, but you guys will never know until you watch the movie. But that's definitely a thing that I was like, wow, You can feel that there's a threat here and there's tension, and I'm really glad that they didn't just like resolve the issue right away and like, oh, Rita's so smart, he came up with this plan and we don't have to actually fight him. So I'm glad they actually had to deal with him themselves. Earlier on in the video, I talked about the pacing, and that's where I feel the movie has really done well, particularly because even though every film has 3 acts, you never feel like it slows down for any reason. They have down moments, of course, but you never feel like you're bogged down with family drama to the point where it's distracting from everything else. The first act definitely sets everything up, and then afterwards, it just kind of spirals into one thing after another, and you never get the sense that it's boring. I would be the first one to tell you whether something was boring because I get bored easily, and my attention span has been ruined over the past 5 years, but here, nah, you're locked in for the whole movie. And I was surprised. Maybe it's because the movie isn't that long, and if it was like maybe half an hour longer, it would be even better. So if there's any negative I can give it, is that because it's too short, and if you're wanting more of something, that means it's good. So that's a good sign. You guys will not get bored over this movie, particularly in acts 2 and 3. Act 3 is fantastic, honestly. Once you get to act 3, you're gonna be so hyped, especially that one fucking moment with and I can't tell you, but I really want you guys to come back to the comment section because you will know exactly what I'm talking about, because the baby. And that's basically all I wanted to say about this movie off the top of my head. I mean, I could be all film snob and go into like the lighting and then the dialogue and all that nonsense, but I'm not a film snob, so we're not going to do that. However, I am going to make like I'm going to find something from the movie that I want to talk about in particular, much like this Supergirl video that I'm making, which I hope I can release sometime this week, but we'll get there. There's a lot of content that I have to add in that and a lot of editing stuff, so it's kind of like a project that I've just dug into, but I promise it will be out at some point in the future. I wanted to make this review because I haven't uploaded something in a while, so this is kind of like an update, but also I wanted to talk about this movie. So I'm not going to be making reviews very often. It's like, what is it, 2:30 where I live now, so I should be going to sleep at some point soon. But Sue, there you go. I'm so locked into Fantastic Four, and I'm not. This isn't even a stretch. This movie rocks. I can't speak. Fuck's sakes. Okay, I should stop trying to make like. I should stop trying to use play on words. Just go to sleep, dude. Okay. When you guys watch the movie, comment down below. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel for whatever this kind of content is. I'm gonna go to sleep. Thank you for watching as always, and take care, guys.